Alright, gaming compute party people. Let's just cut straight to the chase. Um, this project is not going very smoothly. I'm very aware of this. So I don't even know if we're at day 5 or 6, but, let me see. I remember the last one I posted. Okay, so I think we're on day 6, because the last one I posted was about that podcast that made $15.95 out of the blue. And as of yesterday, when I checked, that same podcast was up a few cents. So I think it was at 16.17 or something like that. And then, yeah, so it went up like 22 cents, or maybe it was 32 cents. I don't really know. It barely went up. But up is good. Up is better than down or neutral. Or I guess like no movement. But I guess, yeah. And then the second thing, I got accepted for this secret shopper gig today that was a $32 gig. So I made 32 off that. It's not going to be deposited until about June 10th. But, 32 bucks is pretty good considering that I didn't really have to do anything. So, as far as the store, between the job applications and, this store, I'm like, I don't think I'm giving up. I might put it on pause so I'm not paying Shopify every month if I do kind of put it on hold and not really use it. Right now, I'm restricted on Facebook. I don't know what to do about it. I found a tutorial actually that explains something to do, which involves basically, I guess, if you have two, like the restriction type that I have could potentially be because I have two people with my name, because I have more than one Facebook account. And so I guess maybe I had set up ads on a different account before, and then when I was setting up this business account and the other, I don't know what it's called on Facebook, Meta, I don't know what it's called. It's called like a business account, and then the other one's called like an ad account or something. I can't remember. Like, there's two different kind of accounts that aren't your personal account, but you have to link it to one. And so I think there was something with those types of processes, which I don't know the details or the real explanation, but they were saying that you have to link, like, basically you have to adjust some things in the settings, and then which I don't remember what they are, but you have to basically go and add your other personal profile, and then like to the new account that you're trying to put the ads on, and then take that ad profile and add your personal profile to it, so you're both like friending each other, I guess. And so you basically just connect to each other, and I guess somehow it knows you're both connected, instead of like, I guess if you put your ID, or if it IDs you as one person and then you upload your ID on another account, it seems like it's something related to that, like something with the ID. I don't really know, but it just seems like that's kind of what it is related to, because the guy who did it on YouTube, when he fixed it, he basically just showed himself linking them, and like that. But he took so long explaining, and no offense to him, it's just his accent was kind of a thick one. Like he spoke well, but it was just a lot to try to follow. Like I'm pretty sure I missed something. Like as far as the details of what the explanation is as to what's happening, that's what I'm a little foggy on. Um, it does seem like I'm getting restricted due to my ID for some reason, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Because it's the only ID I have is my driver's license. Like, well, I have another one, but it's like, it's not relevant. Like, it's not gonna work. But maybe because it's like my first and my last name, or whatever. And then there's other accounts out there with my first and last name, and it seems like an identity issue or something. I don't really know, but I couldn't get a better explanation than that, and I also didn't try it. It's just a lot. I might try it, but I don't know. I guess I started watching some episodes of some YouTubers talking about drop shipping, and I kind of got to this other side where it was like negative, because usually you see the people saying like, make $100, make $1,000, make however much, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You don't usually hear people talking about how hard it is or doing challenges and they're not making it. Now, I have tried drop shipping before and it has worked. I don't think I've ever tried it off of a Shopify store. I can't recall if I've done it that way. I've done a lot of like Craigslist and OfferUp and those types of things. But it's a slower game, according to how it seems with dropshipping. Like dropshipping can be more direct. But what I'm seeing is with dropshipping also, it's like you can spend days dealing with payment gateways and Facebook things and TikTok things and ads getting banned and waiting for these Fiverr people to like give you your product, or waiting for them to try to help you with traffic or whatever it may be. You have these people trying to help you and all this other stuff, and it's like all this time and money and energy, even though I didn't spend a whole lot, of course. I could have maybe gotten better results spending more, but I was like, I don't want to risk it at more if I can't make it work easily at a little bit of money, because everything you put in is like nipping away at your profit margin. So it's like, I've already put a lot of time and effort and funds into the project initially. Like, the site is old. It's like, it's probably over 6 months old now. It's probably close to a year, maybe like 8 months or so. It's a pretty old site now. And maybe it's not. I don't know, but I started the process before I opened the actual store, because I started a course that I was taking. I think I did Bia Heza's dropshipping course, and got a lot of good information from there on how to get started. But the things that I'm veering away from that he did, that I didn't do, I didn't use TikTok ads. I didn't use the same exact route he went to get the ads for TikTok, for the product. I didn't get the product and ship it to myself and make my own, use like kind of like ads with myself using it, or like anything like that. It wasn't organic on that end. There was a lot that wasn't really like directed towards me, like what I actually do and stuff. So I don't know, like I think it's pretty, like I think it's pretty like, yeah, I think it can work out. I don't know if it's some of the routes I took that made it not work out so far, or if it's just because there is a bit of a steeper learning curve with this stuff, and especially nowadays, Like I've been pretty disconnected from Facebook ever since Facebook became Meta. I haven't even been like connected with it since before then. So it's been doing a lot and changing a lot. I'm on Instagram, and I know I like Instagram, but I'm on there just to like chat with my friends and like watch people's lives and stuff. Like I'm and I'll get in a rabbit hole for sure, but I try not to be on there too much. I'm more of a YouTube fan. I like longer form content, and I tend to kind of indulge in that more than most other platforms. But I would say, yeah, like I don't know that much about Facebook. I really don't know that much about TikTok. It's not like I've never used TikTok, but I purposely deleted it from my phone just because just because of how it kind of impacts my focus and energy. Like I'm like I don't want to be on here like this, like and so and I feel like we get shorts on Instagram and on YouTube, so I'm like I'm fine with those. I don't really want to see more. I don't want like a whole app of it. Like it got pretty intense for me. Like it felt like a little bit too much for me to handle, so I decided to step back from that. Um, but yeah, I don't really know. Like I'm still figuring it out. I'm not gonna quit. It's just I don't think maybe the products I'm using or the AliExpress method. Like there's a lot of things like based on the research I've been doing, because I'm like when something's not working out, I'm like, well, let me like get educated about this more than just clicking around in a program and seeing like what I can find and what every feature is. Like usually once I'm done doing that, I'm like, well, let me just hear other people's take on these specific problems that I'm having. And it turns out it's not that out of the norm for people to get restricted from Facebook ads. It's not that all out of the norm to not know how to fix it or to not be able to get in touch with them to talk about it. It's not that out of the norm for people to have payment gateway issues. It's not that out of the norm to be a little like, oh, like I didn't know that you had to have, I don't know if it's 300 or 500 to start with ads on TikTok, which is why I avoided using their campaign. But I don't know if it's I mean, because people all use kind of these same traffic methods, these same campaign methods for using ads. But I'm wondering if there are other platforms, like thinking outside of the box. Like, are there other platforms that aren't, TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or other places where you promote ad campaigns? Are there other places, Because, I mean, I know the main ones, but I don't really know if there's some alternative thing that's, like, actually good, but, like, it's just not Facebook or whatever. Like, sometimes, like even with podcasting, like Spotify for podcasting super popular. I wasn't originally coming. I mean, I was on here from from Anchor, but Anchor isn't like the same exact thing. I guess Spotify made Anchor, but it wasn't like as merged before. It was kind of like its own kind of standalone thing, I guess. It seemed, and now it's so integrated. And so I don't really know, like it's now obvious that it's like Spotify's joint, before it didn't feel like that. It felt like, oh, I'm using something that's kind of like off the beaten path. Like it's not, Apple Podcasts or whatever, but like that's just where I was directly recording into and saving everything at, like all the drafts and everything. Like technically with podcasting it's all because it goes to like different apps as well, and so it just broadcasts to other apps, and so people can still come from other apps and still hear the pod. And so it's kind of like, yeah, it's Spotify, but it's like it's not really only Spotify. But yeah, things like that. It's just like, you know, you don't have to use Spotify, you don't have to use Anchor. You can use Apple Podcasts, you can use all kinds of other like things that I can't think about off the top of my head, but I've definitely heard of a lot of other ones that you can use, other platforms you can use for podcasting. They're just not the first names that come to mind for most people. I mean, I can't even remember what they are, and I've uh, recently watched videos of people talking about them. But like I follow what's his name? What's his name? Dang, Pat Flynn. I follow Pat Flynn. I'm not gonna go through everybody I follow, but specifically I was thinking Pat Flynn and this guy named Henry G. If you look up Henry G Anchor, Anchor podcast or whatever, he has a lot of information about how he was making money on Anchor. Now, a lot of people are seeing a lot of shifts now since like March with whatever this merging was that happened. But then, like, to see a jump in the the ads like I just saw this week, like that's probably coming from March because my old Anchor ad was closed. And then, so I guess within the 60 days they're measuring, they measure 60 days and then they go, they're testing that cycle. Like, did you post at least however many episodes within this many days? And like, did you, I guess they reevaluate every 60 days and then you have to have a certain amount of listeners for that cycle. And if you don't have the listeners, then you don't qualify for, paid ads for the next cycle until you meet it again, and then that cycle's complete. So you're kind of incentivized by better ads. Like, I would say whatever the $16 one was, or $15.95 was, that's from 60 days, which isn't bad considering that the podcast that has the money on it wasn't really making any money before that. So it's like within I think 2 years versus 3 months, pretty much 2 to 3 months, it didn't really make hardly anything. Like, it was a podcast that I was kind of ignoring because I was like, well, I just get stoned and record this thing. Like, I wasn't really like paying attention to it. I was just having fun. Like, I have fun on all of them, but that one was clearly just like like there was no real focus. Like, I was not trying to like really focus on anything but just what comes out of my mouth when I'm stoned, basically. And apparently people like to listen to it, but I like to record it, so I don't know, whatever. But shout out California. But yeah, anyways, so that's what I would say with kind of where my focus is. Like, I know this is like already pretty much, I said 7 days, right? And this is like day 6. So there's a little bit of improvement, but I'm kind of like rounding things off to just kind of acknowledge, I guess what the challenges are that I've learned. Like, there's a lot that was definitely not expected. Like, I was expecting just to roll up and just be like, oh, I can do this in 7 days. Because the site's already built. Like, it's already built. The product's already there. Like, it's already, like, a rolling site. Like, literally all that I had to do was the marketing, the traffic end. It was nothing more than that. And then fulfill orders if there were orders. And so the site hasn't been making any orders or having any orders. But it's not like I haven't tried any kind of marketing. But then I did get really distracted and started doing other things, like looking for all these little secret shopper gigs and stuff, and got a little distracted with that Presto app and a little with that one, but more so with the other ones, with the secret shopper, house, the rental apartment ones, or apartment leases or whatever, where you go in with the hidden camera. Or the other ones related to like the postal delivery things. Like, I can't remember what it's called, but something about the hazard materials prompt. you're basically trying to like make sure that they give you that they, you know, tell you about it or whatever. I don't remember exactly what they say. And then like the one I did today, there was just like calling a car dealership to schedule for a certain type of car to get serviced and like the process of it all. I mean, I like knowing about that kind of stuff, but like I've mentioned, like I've been living under a rock for almost 10 years. Like I found little side hustles that were during like a more prime economic time, you know. And that maybe has clouded a bit my understanding of things. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like things are way more complex now than they used to be like about 9 or so years ago. Like, I feel like before with YouTube, you could just upload stuff. Like, there weren't like a lot of these platforms. We used them and we felt like, oh, they're established, you know, they're pretty established, and they were for sure. But they've all leveled up since then. And so I feel like they've all got a lot stronger capabilities and they're powerful programs. Like when you think of it, it's like all these little apps on your phone. It's like basically all the stuff I do, the majority of it is from apps, in all honesty. Like I do have we have a family desktop, but I don't really use it. I have a laptop that I use for the bigger stuff if I'm like writing or whatever, but usually the way that I kind of sign into my accounts and all that kind of stuff, I like to do it on my phone because I like to have every password kind of saved in my phone because I'm usually with my phone. I'm not usually with my laptop. So sometimes if I want to log into something, I'd rather just make for sure my initial login and all that information is like in my phone versus saving it on my laptop and then not saving it on my phone. Then it's like I can't log in if I'm out of town or like if I don't bring my laptop. Like I don't bring my laptop everywhere. I only recently started using it, honestly, since I wasn't working at the clinic site, at the mental health site, because like I didn't really need a computer otherwise. I was just working on my work computer, and then, you know, otherwise I'd be on my phone. Like I didn't do anything other than maybe play video games. Like I didn't do a lot on there. All the podcasting is and pretty much was pretty much all done on my phone. So I mean, you can tell like I'm driving around sometimes and like a lot of times and yeah, but yeah, like all these things are so much more powerful now, and you know, I feel like maybe I kind of was like, oh, I did this kind of stuff before, not exactly this type of thing. I've built stores before. I've been like, oh, I want to do drop shipping and tested products and tested them pretty long term to a point where I was like, I have a product and I have, you know, a resource of getting it and I can sell it and flip it for more, or fix it and flip it and sell it for more, or whatever it was. And it was pretty direct, and I didn't really need a website. Like Craigslist or OfferUp was good enough. Like I could, you know, put out my, you know, my information on Craigslist. I mentioned it before, you know, I used to be like, right before the beginning of the year, you know, with the iPhone 6, I would just, you know, put up there, you know, like I'll give you $40 for a used phone, even if it's cracked, as long as I can test it and as long as it turns on and as long as it's, you know, it has to meet the requirements. Like back then it was like it had to have a good IMEI, and like you can listen to the episode, like it's way back, I talked about it. I don't want to go into the whole details again, but just mentioning it though, just to say that, you know, it was easy. Like I took some class online, or my friend and me watched the class or something. I can't remember. We watched this guy showing us how to flip phones, and we just printed out the paperwork of like, you know, the bill of sale or whatever it was, and you know, documented everything, you know, so that all the details were there and everything. And yeah, it was pretty easy. Like all I was doing was replacing batteries and like fixing the screens. But it did get really scammy, because it was like, people wanting to lowball you, and then people trying to like bring you a device that doesn't really work, and also there was a lot of little stuff that didn't really help. And then it just got super scammy with the online part, because it was easy to buy and sell stuff in person and look at it physically and check in all the system and like make sure everything's good and test everything out, test out SIM cards, make sure it's like open, just test everything. And then, after all the testing was done, it was easy to just kind of send, just post your ads up, and that was it. Like, it was a little bit of work, but it wasn't a full-time job. I had a full-time job, and I was doing this after work. And the nights that I did it, I was home. Let me see. I don't remember, honestly. I was home not late. It wasn't that late. I'd probably spend like 1 to 2 hours doing it, because it only took like a couple phones a week, like maybe 2 to 4 phones a week. And I would like say the time and place I was going to be at a certain area, and basically that was it. It's like, I'll be at this McDonald's at this place from like 5:30 to 6:45 or whatever. And if the people can't make it, then it's like, well, I can't be there, or I would be more flexible. But it was kind of more like they would have to come to me, and there was some incentive because like I had money, but then it was like, well, I felt like it would kind of make them a little more accountable too if they had to get to me, and I would have to screen the phone and make sure it was okay. Like, I felt like, okay, people aren't going to waste their energy coming to me, even if it is close. It's like, you're going to get dressed and come over and like, have me inspect this thing right in front of you, instead of like me coming to you and then trying to like scam and be like, oh, like sell someone a bad phone, or try to pressure them to like, oh, hurry up, even though you're not done checking it, like, hurry up, or like have them be all weird and like, oh, I can't come outside to your car, you have to come into my house or whatever. And like, it's kind of like, let's just meet at McDonald's, let's just meet at Jack in the Box, like, let's meet at Starbucks. And it was just pretty simple. And then I could, those places, I don't remember if it was Jack in the Box, but yeah, places that have Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, so that helped. And it's, it's open, there's seating, like, it's casual, so it wasn't a big deal. But it was very consistent, and I was providing a service other people needed. Like they mentioned in the course, it was like, before the first of the month, people have bills due, so a few days before the first of the month, people kind of are willing to sell things for cash. And if they have something they don't want, and if you're in a major city, I mean, who doesn't have a cracked phone that works, that they're just like, well, I couldn't sell it anywhere. But it's like, if someone's willing to give you $40 for it, and you're not really going to sell it, like, but it works technically. Like, I'm not talking about something that was like run over by a car, but, something that's like, screen has a little bit of cracks. Like, not so much damage that it doesn't operate, like, it has to be able to charge, camera has to work, everything has to work. But, yeah, I was able to test the phones and everything. It worked out fine. That was probably the best side hustle I ever had. And I don't know any updates now, because a lot of the phones, I just kind of fell off of like the technology behind them, and actually like my comfort with like just taking them apart. Like the iPhone 6, I felt really comfortable just taking it apart. But some of these other phones, I'm like, I don't really know, and they cost so much. It's like the 6 wasn't that expensive, but some of these newer ones, like, dang, But then there is a higher profit margin too. But the problem is, when you don't know the technology, you kind of have to, learn the technology very well so that you're not getting scammed. Like, there's all sorts of little stuff to check that's like, you get taken here or there, it's just part of it. Like, you're not going to a class where you're training for years or something. Like, you're doing this kind of on the fly. You kind of learn as you go. Like, you learn enough and you do it enough, but it's like you get better and better. But it's like there is a little, it's not like you're running a little shop or something, and like, it's not like that. Like, people are literally trying to scam you, or sometimes people literally just don't know. Like, they don't know they'll be like, oh yeah, my phone's paid off, and then they sell it to you, and like maybe they didn't know it wasn't paid off or something, like maybe someone gave it to them or something, and then you can't sell it. Or if somebody listed it as stolen, which was something that started happening, people started listing the phones as stolen after they sold it to you. So it's like they could sell it to you and then list it as stolen, and you can't resell it, So it would get like that, where it's like, okay, like what am I gonna do with these stupid phones? Like I don't need them, and it's like I'm losing money if I'm paying people $40 for them. So it's like, like I can't do anything with something that's listed as stolen either, except for, take it apart and sell the parts individually. Like it just becomes so tedious. It's like it's like I'm not trying to like have a cell phone part store, but it's like, I don't know. That might be the way to go. But I don't know, like, I've done a lot of little things, and it's always fun, like it's a little, I wanted to try it more in a crunch and in a more difficult time period too. I mean, it's unfortunate that the economy sucks so bad, but I mean, we are in a time where it's like people aren't just buying whatever. Like they are kind of, but are they really? It's like, trends are changing, analytics are kind of all over the place. Like, everything's changing, and a lot of the tech stuff is changing right now too. Like everyone's like trying to like keep afloat and like innovate where they feel like it's gonna like bring value, and innovate where they think they can make a profit off of it somehow. And so, I think it doesn't help to really get stuck in old ways of thinking of like, oh, this method works or this method works. Like I can't specifically do iPhone 6 reselling anymore. Like the iPhone 6 is so obsolete. Like I'm pretty sure some people need it, but it wasn't like it is like now. It's like iPhone 11 or something. Like we're way past 6. But mine was kind of at a golden age too of the 6, because the 6 was like it was at a time where it was like worth a little bit of money. Like enough people had them, it was worth money, but it was so low money. Like it was such a small amount that like it wasn't like too difficult to play with, if that makes sense. Like selling something for like $100 profit, if I'm buying a phone for 40 and flipping it between like 120 to 160, that's not too bad. Like even if I lose $40, or if somebody buys it for the max of like 160 or something and wants a refund or whatever, or or whatever it may be, it's like, that's different than like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Like I'm not saying that the phones cost that much, but it's like there are phones out there that really are worth a whole lot of money. They're worth the price that an old used car used to go for in 2019. It's like, yeah, you could sell your car for like $1,300. You could buy a really nice phone for $1,300, or a nice laptop for $1,300. Like they're all kind of like in the same little category there. But yeah, you can't really find too many cars too cheap anymore, honestly. It's just funny how things are in a way. Like, but yeah, I mean, I am definitely spread thin. Like I'm trying to prioritize getting work, so I can start this next phase of this whole career that I'm jumping into, and start working in that field. But I also don't want to do away with my other skills, and I definitely need to brush up on a lot of them. Like a lot of the stuff I was just mentioning is like kind of the way I kind of brainstorm, like, okay, what technically kind of went wrong on this. There is some room. Like I wasn't following anything directly. There was nothing that I followed like to the T that somebody else did. I took my own route. I paid less money on some things. I don't know some of the ins and outs of like errors and restrictions and all this kind of stuff that seems to be, against and trying to like prevent as much like fraud and just weird like poor customer care type of situations, like I understand, like, you know, shipping from China or wherever isn't maybe the best of options. I think that speed counts for a lot when it comes to getting your stuff, especially when you can go out, when you can go get what you need. I think most of us are willing to wait 1 or 2 days. After a week, it's like you can usually just have gone and run the errand and found it yourself, you know, whatever it is. Like most things, unless you really can't get them within a week or so, you're probably not going to wait more than a week, because usually by the weekend or within a week you'll find time to like go run an errand. So I feel like maybe if you need something or want something, most people are willing to do like the 1 day, 2 day, maybe 3 day, you know, like the typical 3 day, 4 day wait, or the that's long nowadays though, because we have Amazon Prime, and you know, we have Amazon Prime, we have freaking same day delivery, like pickup of groceries, and like you can have people go to CVS for you, or you know, run little errands and like buy stuff for you, not even just food, but you know, your groceries, your takeout meals and other stuff, as well as, you know, I've had mobile mechanics come fix my car before. It's like there's so much stuff that you can just get done instantly that it's like sometimes if you really don't want to go out of your way, you don't have to. Um, you know, and it's worth even a couple more bucks, you know, to not, like, in the reality, usually it's worth a couple more bucks. I'll pay the $2.99 extra to get something by, you know, like by the time I'm awake and ready and done with breakfast, I want it on my doorstep kind of thing. You know, it's like I'll pay for that, you know, that's not a big fee. Or like, yeah, I'll pay the $2.99 for Uber Eats, you know, if it'll get to me before it gets cold, you know, like, or if you're like sending me, if I'm ordering like something that's gonna melt, or like soup or something that's gonna get like cold. Like I do that a lot with pho. I'm like, when I order pho, I want it now. Like I don't want to wait like 45 minutes. Like it's gonna be all cold by then. Or at least it's not gonna be piping hot. Like if you get rare beef, sometimes, you know, you want it hot. You don't want it like lukewarm. You can always heat it up, I guess, but then it's like, why are you ordering takeout? If you have to heat it up, you might as well just heat something else up, you know, but whatever. Um yeah, but yeah, and then these secret shopper things, the job applications and the secret shopper um gigs, those are complex, you know. Those are a little hard. Um they're a little bit hard because they're you know, they take time and energy away from the other projects. Like the secret shopper ones, they're cool, but it's like they're hit or miss. The ones that I've tried are like really weird. The ones that I found, I mean, they're a little out of comfort zone, you know? It's like I don't feel like it's lying, but it is a little bit like I don't know. I feel like unless I had like really direct goals of where I wanted the money to go, or really needed to like pay something off, or really needed some reason to really need the money that way, I don't know. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just kind of like there's a slight annoyance for me with it, with the kind of like I'm doing this, I'm pretending to do this. It's kind of like I know it's good. I think it's a good way of getting direct, kind of like a direct uh like explanation or example of like how the company is getting run. And you know, I think it's probably very helpful for figuring out like customer service, and you know, like if people are trying to track if the employees are being nice, are they being, you know, helpful, are they being respectful, are they following a certain protocol. Like none of the ones I've come across so far seem to be like an excessive thing. um it doesn't seem like you're like, you know, is there like a speck of dust on the floor or something. Like it seems like it's kind of like maybe something that has to do with the payment system, like, or is this clear when it talks about like, um, how you can schedule to get a Lyft or an Uber through this company when they're working on your car or something, like, it's kind of like for quality. I feel like it could create a better quality to the system. Like, I don't feel like they're trying to like catch people and fire them or whatever, but it seems like they're like the process of doing the secret shopper gigs, it kind of shows me like, okay, maybe they care about all these different aspects. Like, it's good to see that there are companies that seem to want that information and care, not just about like, oh, does the website match, like, is the font matching and all, like, not just that kind of stuff, but like, how do customers actually feel like talking to these people, or like being in the environment, like how's the place seem to be running, like, I kind of like that. Like, I'm like, it's cool to be somewhat a part of it, but at the same time, it's just like, it's a little weird. It just feels a little weird. Like, not in a morally wrong way. It's just kind of like, it's kind of like a fun little hobby. It's almost like, how I say I like to go look at open houses, because, like, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to like live there, but it's like cool to see different parts of the city and like scenery from like, especially the ones like on the cliffs by the ocean and stuff like that, and just like looking at different environments, and kind of like in your mind just kind of like I like in my mind just kind of like play with the idea of like, oh wow, if I lived here, this would be, it's like an interesting way to kind of like form like, oh, what could it maybe look like to live somewhere else, or do something completely differently that I don't usually do. The secret shopper things kind of feel like that. It's kind of like, I don't even shop at these places. Like, I don't have any of these things. It's kind of just like, oh, like, what's this experience like? Like the one, with the Mini Cooper, it's like I'm trying to talk to somebody again about getting my Mini Cooper service. Like, I don't have a Mini Cooper. I didn't even live in the, like, this was like for a company in like Albuquerque or something. It was like, I don't even live there, but it was kind of like, it's just interesting. It's kind of like, okay, like, it was a good experience. It's kind of like role playing almost. It's kind of like a weird little role play that you get paid a couple bucks for. But yeah, $32 to do something just simple. Like, it's a little hard because like there was uploading and stuff. Like, you have to be like organized a little bit, like taking screenshots and then like uploading them into certain parts of the survey, and filling out the survey, and like some of the phone call stuff, like keeping the details of like how long were you on the phone, and did they put you on hold however many times or whatever, like different stuff like that. But it seems pretty good, honestly. Like, it's just hit or miss. But if you could get like a bunch of $32 ones, the problem is, in all honesty, with the secret shopper ones, not only does you have to meet criteria for doing certain ones, but they have to like when you click on it, some of them you can't just go do it right away. Like, there's a lot of restrictions of what time of day or when you can do it, or like, things like that, or other restrictions like they might not accept you. Like, maybe multiple shoppers have to click that they want to do it, and then they decide from that list of shoppers. You might not get chosen depending on the type of secret shopper gig it is. So even if you qualify for it, you might not get chosen, or you might have to do some little quiz and qualify for it, or there's different things. It's not like that smooth. So it's kind of like, yeah, if you have a goal of like, yeah, I'm gonna make $30 every week, and at the end of the month I'm gonna do something that costs like $120, like, that's pretty cool. I think that's worth it. Like, doing like one once in a while, I wouldn't depend on it for like long term work. A lot of this stuff, unless you really have like a system going, it's hard to depend on it. And as we can tell, like, it shifts. Like, it's not, I'm not saying that people don't make a lot of money with it. Like, plenty of people have successful online stores, but I do feel like sometimes it might be better to shift offline. Like, in all honesty, in my experience, it was like a hybrid online offline. It wasn't completely online. That so far has worked very well for me, smoothly, in a way that I could consistently just like make like a plan. So far I haven't been able to kind of like get to a point where I could just have a strategy of doing things and just implement that however many days a week and just like scale it. I haven't gotten to that point yet. There's a lot of different pieces that are kind of getting in the way of that. So I'm kind of wondering if I'll be able to do that. I think I will, but I think I need to kind of take a path, take a path and stick to it. But once I get all these restriction things cleared up and all this other kind of thing, like once I get all that kind of stuff cleared up, then I'll have to kind of see what I want to do. Because I didn't actually follow the class to the T. When I think of it, I'm like, okay, like, I didn't follow the class to the T. So if I would have gone exactly that route, would things have worked out better? I don't really know. I did hear some people on TikTok saying that they didn't make money off of any of the ads, and if they paid for a campaign that's hundreds of dollars, $300 to $500 is a lot of money. Like, I know you have to invest something. Like, you can't usually do every single thing for free. Like, you can kind of, but it's like eventually it kind of makes more sense to use money. Like, I think it is harder to use less money, but it's a little bit risky. And so I wonder what would happen if I invested more money. I invested a lot of time. I don't think I invested a lot of money. Not upfront at the moment. Like, I feel like I did invest some money, but not a lot. Like, not, yeah, I didn't really invest a whole lot of money. Like, overall, I've spent a lot on this store, but for this specific project, I don't think I put in even more than $100, and I'm pretty sure it was less than that. Off the top of my head, maybe like half of that, maybe like $50 max. I don't know, cause like I don't know if I start counting things like, the monthly expense of the Shopify store being open, then it's like, okay, then it's definitely like about 50 something. But if I don't count like the Shopify subscription, or because it's past that trial period, you get a pretty lengthy trial period with Shopify too. It's like, I don't know, I think I've seen up to 60 days. I've seen like 30 days as well, I think. But yeah, you get a couple, at least 1 to 2 months. Like if you don't sit on it, like I sat on it for a while, but if you don't sit on it, you basically have a store that's just running pretty well. I mean, you have a store that's been running, like it's been up and running. And so even if you're not doing anything with it, you have a little wiggle room with time. You're not just like straight away. But there's a lot, like initially when I opened the site, there was some issue with GoDaddy, because I was using GoDaddy for the domain transfer. I got the domain transferred to me, and then I got the domain transferred to me, and then I got I guess it was being hosted not on GoDaddy, it was being hosted elsewhere, and I think the person who sold me the domain, I'm pretty sure they canceled their subscription for the hosting. And so I didn't want to use that hosting. I don't remember what it was, but I didn't know anything about it, and I think GoDaddy's hosting, I don't know if it was better or if it was cheaper. I don't remember. Like, there was a reason why I chose GoDaddy. Maybe because I know that website, that software a little bit better. I'm not sure if that's why, but I think that's why. Like, I was like, I don't want to learn anything else. Like, let me just, like, still, like, the user interface is so different from what I remember, too. So it's like, it was still a lot of learning, honestly, even though it was the same platform pretty much. It was a lot of learning. But yeah, it's been a lot. Like, a lot of this other stuff was going on, like, months before I even started this project. So I can't even imagine if I was building the store from absolute scratch. Like, I would have had to be doing this, like, grinding for multiple days and had money on hand that I was trying to spend on this. I did kind of go a cheap route. I spent a lot on building the store, on keeping the store up, running smoothly. I paid for a lot of assistance, like getting a lot of this stuff done. It looks nice. It looks really good. So, I just, I haven't really tested out all of my marketing skills. I've tested out the platforms that are already available. I haven't really aggressively tried out any skills on my own, to kind of do things kind of more organically. As far as like organic marketing, I guess, not so much organic traffic. But yeah, like, I haven't really built out like a full brand around it. It's just kind of there, lingering out in cyberspace. It's not really connected. It's not connected with this podcast or any other podcast. It's not connected with there's a blog, but it's not connected with it. It's not connected with any other social media. It's just an isolated store. And I'm not used to really doing projects like that. Like, usually, even if I don't blog, like, I would love to blog, but you guys, I don't know. Initially, I thought I was gonna really blog a lot, and now I'm like, I'm not gonna blog. Like, I'm not gonna do it consistently. If I do it, it's gonna be when I sit down in the mood to write. And as much as I love writing, it's just easier to record with this kind of stuff, because sometimes I'm kind of thinking out loud too. I'm just like, okay. But I do find the process of writing to be very helpful. It's just when I blog, I like it to be a certain way. And especially now that I know how to like actually do it, it's kind of like, it's a little bit like, this is actually a lot of work, instead of just me with like some stream of consciousness just like typing away at like 2 a.m. and then just like posting it. Like, it's like, oh, I might actually care a little bit, about how this looks, but, yeah, I've been blogging for a while, just, that was probably the first, type of social media type of platform that I gravitated towards creatively, was blogging. Probably a little more before videos. I guess I was taking little video clips and like pictures when my friends would go snowboarding, and I would go with them to take little footage. It was on my little like Coolpix camera. But hey, it did the trick. It was cool. But yeah, I'm gonna think it through more. Like, I doubt anything's really gonna happen by the 7th day. I mean, I will keep you guys posted. It's not even gonna be 7 days, honestly. It's probably gonna be like 2 days from now, or maybe even 4 days from now. I don't really know. Like, I count the days like when I'm actually kind of working on it. Like, when I'm not actively doing anything. I don't want to just be like 7 days and then it's like I wasn't even doing anything, so of course nothing's gonna happen, Like, I need to change at least something each time, or do at least something each time, or check in on something each time. But this was not completely focused on the store like I thought it would be. Or maybe, I don't even know if I said it was gonna focus on the store now that I think of it. I thought initially that it was gonna be seeing if I could get to $100 a day easily, but it has so many roadblocks that it's just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, everything that could have gone wrong kind of went wrong. So, like, even with the other avenues of things, like, like trying to, oh my gosh, guys. Like, I was trying to use my car for Uber Eats, And I just found out, oh dear God, I just found out that my car was trying to connect to make an Uber X account. Uber X. Me and my nearly 21-year-old car. I mean, like, that is not possible. So basically, the system of Uber Eats system or Uber's system was like declining everything. It's like, you need to upload this, you need another copy of this, you need to upload this. And I'm just like, how many times do I need to do this? And so sporadically I was talking to the help desk on there, and they were basically like guiding me of what to do and what to send. And so I was like, okay, like that makes sense because I didn't send that specific information. And then once I sent that specific information, that's when I actually realized, like when I actually asked them, I was like, how do I get this set up for Uber Eats? Like, because I was looking at the information and it was like, sorry, your car's too old. Like, it's too old for your area to, like, the registration is denied because, the car is too old. And I was like, oh, so maybe it needs to be the newer car. And so I switched it to my brother's Nissan Murano. That's the car that my parents drive. They don't drive, it just sits in the driveway. I drive it now. So I've been driving it. And because my car is just, God only knows what's wrong. But it's like, well, we have this other car that's not being driven, so let me just drive it for a little while too. And then I'll get this one fixed. But I'm still in the process of trying to sell it, and then the whole thing with the title. I got it figured out that the title of my car, it's fine to get transferred. And then for the Murano, I found out that the nothing's wrong with it. Like, yes, the other information for Uber Eats, for Uber X, is definitely old for my own car, but I'm trying to set up Uber Eats with the Murano, and not Uber X with either one. Like, I don't want all the, like, I'm gonna have to get it inspected, and I'm pretty sure something's gonna need to get repaired, and it's like, I don't intend to be driving that car that long. I just want to kind of see what it's like. But yeah, I was trying to do Uber Eats, and having some car trouble, and having some trouble with having misunderstood some of the secret shopper gig options, and all the little gig options were seeming to like not be available as I thought they would either. So not only was the store not making money as far as what I was trying, but also the side hustle little gigs weren't really panning out as I had thought, because I really thought the secret shopper gigs were going to be more consistent, and I thought that Uber Eats was going to be so easy to set up, but I didn't know that I had set up I was trying to set up Uber X, and because this car is so old, there's nothing about it that would qualify for Uber X, but I thought I was getting denied for Uber Eats. And so yeah, that was kind of a complicated thing to have to figure out finally today, but that's in the works. We'll see. I hope it's not dried up. I'm gonna be so pissed if like it finally connects and then it's like, you're on the wait list. It's like, come on, because I'm on the wait list for all the other apps. And so yeah, a lot of the stuff I started before I started this 7-day challenge. A lot of stuff I started way before. None of this was happening just cold set from the start of 7 days ago. Like, a lot of these accounts I had already applied for, things were already in the works. The website was already built. Like, all the stuff was already kind of built and ready and supposedly waiting for me to just start like using it. But then when I started looking into even the secret shopper sites, I was like, oh, I don't qualify for these. Like, a lot of them are like, go into a bank for $40 and like, or $20 and register for this credit card in person, and it's like, okay, even if I did want a credit card and I did qualify for one and I got it and I got approved, how many of those can I do? I can't go to every Chase in my area and set up cards. Like, that is ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to do something like that unless I actually need it. And there's other like banking ones like that. A lot of the ones in my area have to do with credit cards and things like that. So it's like I can't realistically go do all of these, or I won't. Like, I guess you technically could, but I think some of them. Yeah, I think some of the banking ones, for the secret shoppers, um, I think you can't go to the same branch, or you can't do the same type of gig within like 60 days. Like, some of them are categorized. And so it's like, yeah, some stuff you just kind of run out. So I feel like with the secret shopper stuff, while it is money, I think you could pay off a bill. I think it's realistic to think, I could maybe pay for a concert once every month or once every other month through those gigs, or I could fill my tank maybe um, once or twice a month. Um, because I'm thinking if you are working full time doing these gigs, um, you're limited too, and then because some of them, you can only do while you're working. Like, if you work a 9 to 5 and there's a bank that's open 9 to 5, it's like, uh, you know, like, but yeah, some places, depending on your schedule, like a post office isn't 24-hour service. Some of these places aren't 24-hour services, and so if you have a pretty busy schedule, that's going to limit your time and energy to do these things. And a lot of them don't pay that much. Like, the ones I've seen that pay the most are the ones where you're doing the house, like, the apartment lease, like looking at the apartments that they're showing, um, and having the hidden camera. Like, that takes time though, and effort. Like, you have to plan and go over there and like set up your camera and all this, and like engage with them in whatever way you need to engage with them, and like get the footage that you need and upload this footage, and like fill out the survey and do all these other things. And like, it's not like you're just like sitting in your room typing like a couple paragraphs and then you just submit it. Like, you're doing actual work, which is fine, but it's like, even though technically, realistically, if you had a lot of them in your area, you could probably make up to 60 in the hour, doing them. But it's like, I do feel like you run out of places in your area. In LA, they're all over the place in LA, but not necessarily near me. And so, I'd have to go at least 25 minutes out of my way, one way, just to do one gig. And even if I found like 3 in the area, like, once you do those 3, you're not going to be able to keep going like 20. Did I say 25 miles? I meant 25 minutes. I don't know what I said, but 25 minutes away. It's not 25 miles, I don't think. It's closer than that, but it's about 10 miles. And so, yeah, like, so, yeah, I don't really know. Like, um, I think, we're, I don't know, like, I don't know. I kind of start feeling sometimes like, you know, I don't think it's just me, um, because I don't think I'm like not trying hard enough or not doing these things right. Like, I'm a little bit scattered and a little unorganized with it. But I do think if it was as easy as most people make it seem online, I feel like the realistic experiences I'm having with some of this stuff isn't very realistic according to what is being presented to most of us. Most of us are getting the clickbait. Most of us are getting, run around in circles. Oh, the secret shopper gig I did today was from Reality Based Group. reality based group. It's pretty cool though. Like I wouldn't knock it. Like I feel like it's cool. It's fun. It's there's kind of some level of excitement to it. If you just need to spice up your day for a few bucks, that'll do it. Like it's a kind of different type of activity that makes you money. Like, I wouldn't rely on it for a job. Like, you'd probably do better off working for like a fast food spot or something, like, because it's consistent. Like, like if you're working Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 hours each day, is like, when you're working, or at least somewhat in advance when you're working and how much you should be able to make. Like with this kind of thing, you can't really tell how much you're going to be able to make. Like, it's not like an actual job where you're getting like hours, but there are a lot of people who make a lot of money from it, who can make, thousands of dollars in a year, probably even like quite a few $100 a month, doing these things. And, if you have the flexibility, and if you've signed up, I think, for a lot of the apps and websites, because what I'm noticing is now that I've been signed up for maybe 4 of them or 5 of them, I am coming across a few here and there that are like, more palatable type of activities. And especially the ones that are like online only, that's not too hard, because you don't really have to make the effort to go anywhere or be anywhere or like talk to anybody, other than like the ones I've done talking on the phone. But it's like, you're just on the phone, like it's not that hard, and you're kind of just calling them once. Like, you're not like bothering them and like creating like a full relationship. Like, you're basically acting like a customer and just like calling about a routine service. Like, you're not asking any kind of weird, like, random out of the norm thing to like trying to catch somebody and like not knowing their job, or not knowing some nuanced thing. Like, you're basically just doing something that any casual person would walk in and do, or call to get a service about. So it is kind of cool, but people do make it sound like, when they say something like, make $500 a day. I mean, I think what a lot of people do is they put a clickbait title like, make $500 a day, because they're able to estimate and have been able to make $500 a day maybe once or twice or something like that. I think most of the people who put out that kind of content make it so you can follow their instructions, and yes, you can do it, but it's not like, like, it's very like strategic. Like, you can just create a strategy automatically and it's just gonna work. Like, you're not just gonna get one secret shopper app and get Presto Shopper or whatever and just get the app and sit there, and there's gonna be all these like good ones that are right in your area, and you can just go gobble them up every day and make a lot of money real quick, and then you wake up the next morning and it's all populated with different stuff that you qualify for that you can go and do right away. Like, they make it seem like it's that immediate. It's not that immediate. It's hit or miss. Sometimes I check the app and there's plenty of cool stuff on there, and I'm just not in the mood to like learn some weird thing. Like, I really don't want to read this whole thing and go do this random thing and go to Ralph's and buy this thing and go like ship it over here and then come back and write a little bit of a survey and like do all that just for like a few bucks. It's like, I really don't want to do it, sometimes. But it's like, I feel like if you had to do it and you were trying to make any money that you could from anywhere, if you had quite a few of these apps and you lived in a city where there's a lot of different types of businesses, and you were able to kind of use your patience to go and like do the little quizzes and the things that qualify you to be able to actually get more qualify for more stuff. Like, over time, I could see that you could potentially, I don't know for sure, but I would say that those are the things that make it so that you can't do it quickly on the fly right away. Like, if you take the time to kind of like do the quizzes and get a reputation and, finish quite a few of them, and like some of them you have to kind of level up a little bit, and like, you know, to get more gigs recommended to you, or some of them you have to be willing to drive a little more often, or, you know, you might find a lot of gigs in certain areas of the city, but they're not near you. Like, for example, I'm not right by LAX, but there might be a lot of certain types of gigs right near LAX that I might qualify for, but I'm not looking over there, and so I wouldn't really know. And so it's like, it might be something like that, and for just a period of time, because once you dry up all the stuff that you're going to qualify for, or the stuff that you're going to actually do, you know, you're going to want to have other apps too, or other, you know, be kind of connected to other types of companies that do other stuff. There's the what was it called? IPSOS, the one I just said, Reality Based Group, Presto Shopper. Dang, I get emails from a lot of them. EPMS. There's Ellis. I think it's called Ellis. I don't know what it's called. But yeah, those are the four that I've been connected on so far. And I don't check them all every day, but you know, I'm pretty sure probably a couple times a month I could probably find some online ones. And you know, I think sometimes they're worth it, like depending how much effort you're willing to put in. It's not really that much time or energy spent. It's a very temporary thing. So even if you are making like $32 like I did with the one today, it's like, it's so temporary. Like, it's just a quick thing that you do. Like, I'm not going to do it tomorrow. Like, if I look on there and there's a bunch of them available tomorrow, then maybe I'll try to sign up for another one. But I mean, like even $32 a day would be a lot. Like, that's quite a lot of money if you think about it, for doing like, you know, a couple online things, and then, you know, making a phone call or something. Like, that's not really, like, it is a little bit of effort. Like, I did have to take a bunch of screenshots and like fill out the surveys and stuff and like do it right, you know, and then I had to read the instructions quite a few times. Like, it is kind of weird, like, when you have like 3 steps of instructions and then it's like somebody else writing it. You're not familiar with their writing and you don't know this person, and it's like, this isn't something I'm used to calling about. Like, I'm used to cars and calling about services, but I don't have a Mini Cooper. I don't know that website. Like, you know, there's all this stuff that's like, I had to learn it brand new, you know, just now, you know, to be able to do it. So, I don't know. Like, it's good, but it's like, it's a little bit, it's a little bit much. Sometimes, like, if you're gonna really try to make a living off of it, I don't know if that would be smart. Like, I wouldn't say quit your day job to do that kind of stuff, but yeah, if you do have something planned in mind that you want to spend that money on, then you can do it. I would say that it's maybe not wise to use it as the only solution you have for like your needs. Like, I would say, if you're just getting money from anywhere, and if stuff pops up that you can go do, or if you could do it from home, then cool. But as you're doing those things, definitely looking for something way more reliable, because you could probably go through dry spells. I mean, if I'm having trouble doing it in LA, I mean, you guys hear there's always traffic in the background and like sirens and everything. Like, I'm in the middle of the city. Like, not every city has this much stuff in it. And so I think some cities, like, you might have a really hard time, you know, finding a lot to do for a really long period of time off of one app. Getting multiple apps can help you, but then I still wouldn't say, you know, rely on it. I think it would be too stressful, it's too sporadic, you know. Things like Uber Eats, Grubhub, that kind of stuff, it's a lot more reliable, because at least you're kind of doing the same thing. You're picking up something and you're dropping it off. Like, this other thing, it's like, you know, okay, I have to, you know, save this screenshot and like label it as this and then upload it over here as a PDF and then do, you know, like, there's little steps that are like, I don't know, like, I took probably like 20 screenshots and used probably like 13 of them or something, and it's like you have to put the right screenshots in the right spot and all this kind of stuff. Like it's kind of a lot, you know, like you have to use some of your own email addresses sometimes. So if you didn't have more than one email address for this gig, you might have needed 2 or 3 email addresses. You know, and then that means that, you know, you might be on some marketing, you know, thing where they're going to keep sending you advertisements for something just because you did some weird secret shopper gig. And that's another thing to mention too. All the stuff that you sign up for, like, they sell your freaking email. So ever since I've signed up for, ever since I've been using Indeed for job applications and going to those other websites and like providing my email more often in different spaces, I've been getting a lot more like spam emails. Like, it's not excessive, but if you count the secret shopper ones on top of like the spam, it's like, damn, man, like I'm easily getting like 25 emails, you know, within a day sometimes. Like, so I have to actually go through every day and actually delete it. Otherwise, it'll be creeping up on 100 emails, and I'm not going to read all that stuff. So, you know, I look at it and I see what's there, usually in the morning and then like once or twice throughout the day. But usually most of it isn't stuff I want, but I try to at least see, like, at least they're telling me, like, some of these apps are telling me. That's how I came across the online secret shopper stuff today. It was like, and there was a lot of it out there, guys. Like, there's a lot of it. Like, it's just I couldn't do all of them because they're all the same thing. And so go on Reality Group or whatever it's called, reality based group, and see if you can swoop one up. I think the deadline for a lot of them was today, unfortunately, but they're probably going to post more of that stuff. The ones I see the most of are the housing secret shopper ones, because and those make the most money from the ones I've seen, but it does take a little bit more work. But that's good money though when you think of it, like up to $60 a gig. Like, you don't get the money same day, but like if you knocked out a few of those, like even one of those a week, that to me is pretty good money, like just for going into an apartment. And if you like looking at apartments, you know, it's like just doing something like that. So I don't really know, but yeah, it's pretty crazy to think, you know, like, because I watch a lot of YouTube and I'm like, man, like they're really trying to like trick us all. But yeah, I just wanted to, I know it's lengthy, I'm sorry, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of say those kind of things, because I'm like, you know, I try not to be too, I am pessimistic, but I try not to be too like pessimistic and negative, even though I know I am a lot of the times lately. It's just been a phase, honestly. It's been a year, guys. It's been a phase, though. And, you know, I'm working on a lot of things at once, but in a good way for sure. But it could be easier. But this is a phase where I'm having to put in a lot of effort and a lot of energy doing a lot of things that I've never really had to do before. Or that I have a little bit experience in, but I'm like popping back into after like 10 years of like grinding through things, like, you know, like the combination of partial grad school and then like working in the clinical field, and, you know, not really having a lot of time or energy to kind of like keep up with, you know, all these other skills. But it's something I don't want to lose. It's just like, I'm pretty shocked to see how it's all developed over all this time. Like, some things, it seems like they're more complex and harder, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot more powerful market behind them. Like, a lot of the secret shopper stuff, I'm like, I'm pretty surprised that you can get paid $45 plus $20 or minimum like $25 just to go look at an apartment. I mean, and if it's near you, it's like, dude, that's not that hard. And like the stuff you have to upload and all that, but it's like, it's not that hard. Like, it's kind of fun. Like, it's like little things like that where it's like you can choose to do one or two little things. And I don't know. I wouldn't say if somebody needed money tomorrow that they would just wake up and go do that. Like, it might work for you. It might take about a week or two to start getting a couple. Um, Once you get your site set up, and then coming across the actual gigs that are something you want to do. Like, there's plenty of gigs out there, but a lot of them you're not gonna want to do all that kind of stuff. Like I said, like the banking ones and the credit cards and all that kind of stuff. Like, some stuff you're just gonna do maybe once max, and then you're not gonna keep doing it. But I guess people are using it because the housing market is so crazy. Maybe that's why the the apartment lease ones are really popular. But at least in my area, because everybody's moving. Like, not right near me, but like in LA in general. It's just in LA, I don't know. Like, commuting is really a big deal out here. It's like, if you're not that into driving outside of your little area, it's going to be pretty hard. Cause yeah, traffic is crazy. Like, there's windows without a lot of traffic, and that's usually weekdays, like in the middle of the day, like 9:30 a.m. and before lunch. That's usually the time where you're not going to get as much traffic, or like Sundays usually. But yeah, there's definitely a lot to consider as far as things that could be tweaked or changed. I think it does help to make a schedule of things, and say, kind of like I did, okay, 7-day challenge. Even though it wasn't 7 consecutive days, it was like probably about a couple weeks. I can't remember. I looked it up the other day when I did day 1. So let me say that again. Sorry. Day 1 was 5/8/23. So almost, we'll call it 20 days. 20 days. So it's almost 3 weeks or so, give or take. Give or take about 3 weeks instead of 7 days. So, because I was posting about this maybe every third day-ish. And so maybe I needed 7 days or 13 days or 20 days or whatever. Maybe I need a month, maybe the rest of this month, to finish, mapping out what I want to do when I try this again. So maybe fixing all the stuff that's not working. So all the errors and all the, what money I'm allotting towards expenses and things like that. Like, maybe I should, try again, but with, I don't know about different products. I mean, I have the option to use different products. So maybe with different products that aren't from China, that are shipped, because I'm only shipping in the U.S., so it's like nothing's gonna be close from China. So yeah, just tweaking things a lot. Like, maybe I should just tweak things more, but get things more solid now, during this month, and then try again next month. So that would give me a few days to kind of resolve this Facebook nonsense, if it's resolvable. If it's not, then I don't know. Like, I'll have to figure out how to do marketing on Facebook Marketplace, or something. I don't really know. Other people were talking about using Kijiji, which is Canadian, so I don't really know if that's possible. Somebody else was talking about using Craigslist. Someone else was talking about using OfferUp. Those are new kind of traffic source ideas that aren't really used. And then, in addition, using kind of like alternative types of methods, as well as more organic marketing. Like, I do know how to do like email marketing and setting up like funnels and all sorts of stuff. It's just, I mean, I might as well practice it because I need to do it anyways. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's hard to take this stuff more seriously, in all honesty. It's kind of like a big mind shift. Because usually this is the kind of stuff I would do to play around with my money and, you know, just be like, I want to see if I can make this much money because I want to go to this party, or like I want to, you know, I want to go to this like club that has this like party event, or like I want to go to this like, I don't know, I want to go snowboarding, or I want to get this ticket to this event or whatever. You know, that was kind of my mindset. Like, okay, this is coming up. Let me, even if I would pay for it up front, I would be motivated to like, you know, cover the expenses or most of them, you know. So I never felt like I was like spending too much money at that point. I was kind of just keeping track of my expenses and then saving some of it and reinvesting it and spending some others of it. And like it's surprising what an extra $100 to $300 a week can do when you're not really actually like spending it on stuff that you need. Like I was just spending it on like fun, and it's like I was able to do a lot, and I felt like my energy was pretty pumped up too because I was spending so much energy on like I don't know, like for me sometimes using energy can produce or give me the ability to feel like I have more energy, like I'm more like pumped up and like excited. But it seems like when I'm using more energy like in a stressed way, that's when it's kind of like I'm using energy and things aren't really working out smoothly, or it's just a rough patch, or like, you know, maybe I'm not like sleeping well or eating well or whatever. Like maybe it's just like something going on, or just, you know, work is weird, or the project is going weird, or whatever. It can be a little easy to get kind of like overwhelmed, like still putting in the work, but I think it makes me a little more scattered, honestly, because then I'm like, I start being like, well, maybe this will work, and maybe that'll work, and maybe this will work, or maybe that'll work. Versus if something's actually working, I can just focus on that process versus like all the like trying to problem solve errors and restrictions and all this stuff. Like that definitely was eating away my energy. I was like, man, I didn't wake up expecting this. Like I was all excited. I was like, yeah, I'm waking up and I'm doing this like Facebook thing, and then I'm like, damn, like it's not working. And then it's like, okay, I have hope in like 2 days, maybe it'll just be fine. And then the more I studied about it during those couple days, I was like, this does not look optimistic. And then, you know, I still haven't actually tried to fix it again yet. I don't know. It's just, these things are just tiring, but that's what happens when you deal with technology. It's just like you're gonna have to deal with these things that are set up just to screen against certain stuff. Like this isn't like, yes, somebody programmed it that way, but it's like if they knew what I was doing specifically, like if they knew me, they wouldn't be so concerned with this. You know what I mean? It's like if they knew me, you know, as a person, they would just be like, oh, this is fine. Like you can set up the store and use this kind of payment and do this or do that. Like it wouldn't be an issue because I'm not trying to scam anybody. But I do think they have a lot of stuff in place because of scamming and because of that kind of thing. And I've seen scamming right before my own eyes. Like I've seen people try to scam me, you know, in person. I'm like, dude, like I'm trying to sell you this phone, or I'm trying to buy your phone off of you, and it literally doesn't even work. Like I said, it has to work. Like I talked to you and you told me it works. You know, it's like I told you I was going to test it and I won't pay you if it doesn't work. Like it has to work. Like I'm not trying to resell a broken phone. But yeah, I was like, because if I can't get in there and open it and look around and test everything out, I don't have like any machinery to test like these like motherboards or whatever they're called, like the brain or whatever it is. Like I have no, like nothing to test that with. Like, you know, it's like if it doesn't work, like I don't know what to do. I'm not gonna fix the whole phone, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my goodness. But I don't know. It's definitely been a lengthy process, a good process, but lengthy, and definitely took more than a week. Almost took 3 weeks. I think I'm gonna make it a 4-week thing, a 1-month thing. It's just we're just gonna label this the month of just like troubleshooting, basically. The month of troubleshooting before I try to get a store up and running. The store is up and running. That's not the problem. The store is up and running. It's just the traffic is not. So Um, but I know how to get traffic. It's not a short game. I don't know the short game of get traffic. I know the long game of get traffic, and that takes a while. Um, but yeah, I don't really know the short game. I don't really know the pay to get your results faster. I know the method where you put in the work on the back end to get the results faster, or like the more like in person route where you're just like you are the person. Like there's no website necessarily between you and the customer. The customer finds you, you put yourself out there, the customer comes and finds you, and then you meet in person. You do these deals in person. Like it's really um that's kind of more my style. Like it's a little more I would want to say it's a little more time consuming, but it's not. I feel like it was actually like if I really count the amount of time I put in, let's say max, let's say if I had a week where I was doing like three 2 3 hour evenings. So after work, that would be like 5:30 to 8:30. That would be rare. I probably wouldn't have done it for that long for 2 days a week. But let's say max, if I had a week where that's what I wanted to do, expecting at the minimum to make, a $600 return off of 3 hours of work. Let's call it maybe get there 10 minutes early, leave 5 minutes late. So we're going to add another like 30 or so minutes, 45 minutes. Like, so 3 hours, 45 minutes in person. And then as far as the repairing, let's say that would take another 2 hours of repairing max, probably, like, because each repair was super quick. And then it was either battery or screen or both. Like, that's all I was replacing. It didn't take that long. And then, because once I got good at it, I guess it didn't take long. It took long at first. And then, so what? That's 6 hours, 45 minutes. Add another 2 hours. That's like 8 hours. And then let's count however long it takes to post something online, and then get it sold that way or sold in person. So the people buying them in person would have to do it when I was picking up another phone from another person. Like they would have to buy a fixed one off of me in person. They'd have to come to me. So that wasn't really a loss on time or hours or anything. So if it was in person, only if I was posting online and then going to the post office for shipping. So let's give that another 2 hours. So that's about 10 hours, 45 minutes for about a 600 minimum profit. Because the profit was $100 per phone to probably about 120 per phone. So that's not really too bad. And it was a system, but yeah, I don't know if I have a method like that where I can do that for like an online store yet. But we'll see if I can get there. I don't know though. The more I think about it, I'm like, AliExpress is annoying. I don't like dealing with it either. And I think nowadays people don't want bad quality. If they're paying for anything, they don't want the quality of shipping to be bad. That's not a good quality shipping time. Like unless you really want something that bad. Like my friend wanted a device for gaming that you could only buy in China. Like they didn't really have it in the US. And I think maybe if they did, it was really unaffordable. And so it's like, okay, if you're buying something that's going to cost you $200 in China versus like $400 or $500 in the US, it's like, okay, like that makes sense to like wait, if you can wait, but usually it's like, if I want hair care products or something, I'm not going to wait like half a month, for that or whatever it is. Like usually I'll just go to the store and get it by then, like unless it's really such a unique product. So I don't know. Like it's got to be dang affordable. It's got to be like a dang good price to be waiting that long, or just really rare and unavailable in your area and very inconvenient to get. And if it's not, that would mean it's not on Amazon or Amazon Prime, because usually that's faster. It might not be cheaper, but it's fast. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on this project, is that, you know, once I do it again, I will be a little more prepared. I wasn't prepared for all the unexpected things. I had already had, like, since the beginning, I've been having all these unexpected issues coming up. And so, like I said, even from right when I was, like, trying to get the you know, domain connected to the Shopify store, like, it wasn't connecting because of the host issue and, like, all this other stuff. And so, like, the hosting. And so there's all this stuff from the very get-go that was just like, dear God, like, you know, so many things went wrong that could go wrong. But I feel like they're familiar things, and I found solutions for most of them. It's just finding the solutions. The solutions are also kind of buried in a haystack. Like, it's not like I just, like, oh, like, I just figure out how to do this now. It's like I go digging through, like, videos and, like, Google searches and, you know, screenshot, you know, blog posts that basically show me exactly what to do eventually, and then on to the next problem. So I don't know. But you know, I think it's worth another try. I still do have one more day of this. I'll see exactly what all I can get done and what I can plan. I want this plan to look a little specific. It's gonna have some flexibility. It's gonna need flexibility, but you know, I don't want to throw money down the drain. I don't want to put it that way, but yeah, I really don't know. I'm just gonna have to see kind of what things unfold into. I'm pretty optimistic that it's gonna work out pretty good. It's just, it's definitely a challenge. Like, it's not easy. You know, a lot of the people on YouTube make it look really easy. They really do. And I wonder if it's easy because they are consistent, like they know how to do this. Because one thing that I'm a little surprised by is a lot of the people that seem to have the easiest success with a lot of these things, or at least they make it seem like they do, a lot of them don't mention these errors and restrictions and all these kind of other problems that pop out. A lot of them aren't mentioning that. I mean, some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. Like, I search for the problem, for the possible problem, when I have the problem. Like, once it comes up, then I'm like, oh shoot, like, I didn't expect that. Like Biaheza mentioned, when he was posting a product, like in his course, he mentions, like, part of the process where he tried to post a winning product to sell on a one product store. He was selling the product, and he wasn't very easily able to kind of post the ad. Like, the ads got blocked on TikTok because one of his products had some kind of a gel in it that was kind of being I guess they were labeling it as like serum, and serum, I guess, has some kind of connotation towards like some kind of like medication or something along those lines. Like they weren't seeing it as like a cosmetic. They were seeing it as a medical kind of medicine or vitamins or something like that that's like restricted on their end, because they can't promote like medicines and things like that. So it wasn't like a health serum or something like that. It was like something you put on your face, like a topical thing, like a lotion or something like that. It wasn't like a medical, ointment or some kind of healing thing necessarily. And so, yeah, just the wording got him banned, but he knew how to go and get the answer. It seems like faster than the average Joe would have done. I think it still took him like 2 or 3 days, but yeah, it got yeah, he had a problem there, but yeah, most of these guys, the stuff I'm coming across, they didn't mention anything about, payment gateway issues. Like, nobody mentioned a thing about PayPal. Like, nobody said anything about that 180-day hold kind of thing. Like, I was like, dang, like, somebody should have mentioned that. Like, nobody, was mentioning these things. And so it is a little shocking. Like, I've seen them mention some things, but it seems like the amount of problems I'm coming across are far more than the ones that they seem, oh, they had a problem. It's like, okay, but I've never seen one person run into all these issues. They're probably a lot more savvy than I am with this kind of stuff. Like, they've been doing it more, but also it's like, it's pretty surprising how many major issues I've come up upon. And also because I'm busy doing other stuff. So it's like, I'm not allotting all day to this. It's like, maybe a half a day every 3 days or so. It seems on average, that's what I've been doing. And so, or maybe even a full day every 3 days, or like 2 full days every so often. But, it's not a priority for me right now. Like, I really am trying to like get a job in this field. And so, I'm kind of trying to wrap my mind around, adjusting to that too. And I'm definitely not, at my most focused. And so, yeah, but definitely learning a lot. Like, it's definitely been eye-opening and exciting. I'm glad I didn't spend a whole lot of money on stuff, because I would have been pretty devastated. Like, I mean, I drop money on stuff. Like, most of us waste money in some categories. I don't mind, like, if I can justify, like, taking trips to, like, an occasional little trip to, like, visit my friend in Vegas, or, like, go to a concert or rave or whatever. It's like, if I can spend money doing that kind of stuff, I can spend money on this kind of stuff, It's like, to me, it's just like another hobby to spend money on, but I try to be careful, because this could potentially be the most expensive hobby I have, even though I don't treat it that way. I think the most expensive hobby I have is snowboarding, because of the season pass, and then, when I go up, I like to stay. And so, or going to San Diego. But I mean, or going to LA when I'm in San Diego. So those are kind of 3 expensive things. Like, if I get a hotel somewhere, that kind of adds up. And it's not, I don't do excessive things, but it's like, it's not free either, But I try to enjoy as well. I try not to be like too, like, I definitely stay cooped up, but I try not to stay cooped up for too long, and to just get out a little bit, party here and there. Yeah, but we'll see what unfolds for day 7. I think it will be in my best interest, though, to kind of get some of this other stuff, all these other barriers kind of out of the way, even if that means just creating like a whole new account for some stuff. I don't know, but I don't know. I hope that the tutorial that one guy posted works. If I can find it again, I'll try and post it down below. Alright, guys. That's it for now. Thanks for listening.